welcome to Gaga Knits. My name's Anita and I live in South Wales in the UK, and today we are just at the end of week 5 of lockdown here in the UK. I hope you've all been well and taking care of yourself and keeping busy. I've got quite a lot to show you today. I am more sewing heavy than anything else, and that's the first time I've ever had more sewing projects and finished objects than knitting since I started this podcast, I think. If you follow me on Instagram, I am Anita Bulb on Ravelry and Instagram. You will have seen or possibly seen a picture I put on there where I laid out all the projects, my sewing projects, on my cabin bed in the craft room. It became a bit of a dumping ground for projects that I wanted to do or needed to finish off, and it was starting to annoy me. So I got them all organised and sorted, and I have gone through those and I have done the majority of them. One was just fixing a little baby blanket that a friend of mine knitted and sewed for Jodie when she was a baby, and it's gone through all the children and it just had come unstitched a little bit, so that was easy. So I did that one, and there were a couple of sewing projects. Now I have been working on the Sewaholic skirt, and I did option B, but I didn't do those little tabs. And then I was going really well and I had to stop because I didn't have the zip, and it took absolutely ages to come from eBay, but it arrived eventually. And I have to say the pattern instructions for this skirt are really detailed and very good, but I still used Katie from Inside Number 23's Sew Along to help, especially with the pockets, because these were the first pockets I've ever put in a skirt, and her tutorials really helped. So here is the skirt, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. And I love these little pockets in the side. I made it in this quilting cotton that I bought in a little shop at Cardigan House in Newport, and it's sort of halfway down between my, well, it's below my knee. I will put some pictures in. And I'm sorry for the pictures. I did plan to go outside and do a little twirl and do a video, but my neighbours were in the garden and I felt a bit self-conscious, so I ran out, set the tripod out, put the outfit on, went out, took a photo, went in, changed, and yes, so it wasn't quite as I expected. And today it's really hot, and I was hoping to have my windows open, but someone is jet washing outside, and so I'm having to keep the windows shut, so I'm quite hot. But anyway, so this is the skirt, and I tried my best to line my waistband up, but even though I tacked it and then sewed it, it still shifted, and you have to sew down the one side and across the bottom and up the other side. And I think maybe if I'd sewed that side down and that one, it might not have shifted so much. But my sewing machine, the needle can only be in the middle or to the left hand side, so the way they ask you to sew this like down there and across and up actually suits my sewing machine, but it did mean that I didn't get my waistband exactly right. But apart from that, I think everything else I did correctly, so I'm really pleased with the skirt, and it fits quite well. It's a little bit loose, but I'd rather that than too tight, which brings me on to my next project. In my last episode, you may remember I was going to make the Perfect Dress by Rosery Apparel, and Janelle, the lady whose podcast that is, very generously put up a free pattern. So the pattern you can download from her website. It comes in 3 sizes, small, medium and large, so I did the medium, which is Australian size 10 to 12, but it seemed to fit my measurements. And the pattern pieces don't have a grain line, and also she doesn't say, or I couldn't see anywhere, your seam allowance. So I did a 5/8 seam allowance, but when you watch her sew along, the edge of her fabric seems to be in line with her sewing foot. So I think that would only be 2 or 3/8 of an inch. So I wasn't quite sure about that. And this fabric is a cotton, but although the one for the Hollyburn skirt was cotton, it still had a little bit of drape and felt nice and soft. This is really quite rough, and I bought it quite early on when I was learning to sew, and I think it was probably on sale because that's when I used to pick up the fabric, because I never realised how much fabric garments took. So buying 2 or 3 meters seemed like a lot of fabric. And I washed this fabric. You can't really see. I washed it before I used it, and it all sort of faded, and it sort of has left little lines and things in the, it sort of washed out a bit. But I made the bodice as well as the skirt and tried it on, and it was too tight. And then I did take out the back darts, and because it's got sleeves, I tried the bodice on then, and it did fit better, but I thought it felt quite restrictive, and I thought, would I really wear this dress if I'm going to finish it? And I thought probably not. So what I've done is I've hacked it and made a skirt. Now I've used the Hollyburn skirt waistband, and I wanted to keep it because in the side seams of this skirt you have lovely big pockets, and this was the second time I've made pockets. So these are in the seam line of the skirt, and the Hollyburn are sort of in the front. So it was a different kind of pocket. So I'm happy with this skirt. It is very full, and so I do feel quite wide in it, but I should put some pictures in so that you can see it a little bit better when I dart it out to the garden and back. Then I finished Jack's baby romper. Now these are from MadeByMePatterns, and those patterns, they are very simple, they're downloadable, they cost just a couple of pounds, and they are amazing because they just sew up so nicely. I haven't done the poppers. I'm still having trouble with the poppers. I have looked on the Cam, that's the make of the poppers, Cam website, and they've said different things that could be causing the problem. And it might be that the fabric that I was trying to practice on was quite thin, and they said to use a couple of layers, and this is lined as well, so it should work better. But Josh has promised to do them for me because he seems to get on with them all right, but I can't seem to do it. So all I'm waiting for is the poppers, and then I'm going to send those off to Jack. And the fabric is a Lewis and Irene fabric that I got in So Lovely in Barry. And then I told you I did a lot of sewing. I am going to make the kids joggers from MadeByMePatterns for Harry. Now he has a high crotch rise, so when he wears trousers he gets that sort of plumber's bum effect if he bends over, because he seems to be have quite a high rise. So I've added an inch to the pattern, and I wasn't sure. I looked online how to do that, and they just said to obviously put an inch of paper in, split the pattern, put the inch of paper in. I knew that, but the line to follow for the curve changed quite a lot when you stretched it an inch, so I wasn't quite sure which line to follow. So I made a mock-up on with some leftover fabric just to make sure that this line sits nicely on Harry. So this fabric is very thin and t-shirty, and the fabric that I have got that I'm going to make the proper joggers in is this Lego fabric, jersey fabric, that I got, I think it was Fabricland. I will put on the screen who it was because I don't want to say the wrong one. And I've got 2 meters of that, and I have washed it, and it's nice and thick, so I'm going to make the proper joggers with that, and I have some leftover ribbing that I used on Jack's, did I say rompers? Joggers. I'm going to use the ribbing for the jogger waistband and the cuffs. And I just used the same fabric on these because I was just practicing. And then all the stitching here is in more pockets. I decided I was just going to sew them properly rather than just do sort of botch job because they were a toile. I thought they can be wearable and they are really cute. So he's got the little pockets here. I hope he's going to like them, and I hope they're going to fit. I've made the waistband. He's got a 20-inch waistband, a 20-inch waist, and the last shorts I made for him, I actually made the elastic 20 inches, but I realised you need to make the elastic slightly smaller to obviously hold around his waist. So I've made the elastic slightly smaller on these, and I just had enough fabric to make a pair of shorts because this is the bit I want to make sure is fitting him around the crotch area. So I'm going to send those off when I send Jack the romper, and hopefully they'll fit, and then I can crack on with the proper ones. Right, I'll just move those out of the way. One of the other projects that were out on the cabin bed was the pennant, and I have made mine now, and this is just a bit of old curtain, which is what I used in my table runner for my English paper piecing as well. And I've got some little pom-pom trim, and I followed a tutorial on I can't remember. I'll put the name of the site below, and also I can't. Also, I put them in the notes. I always put notes underneath the video with everything I show, and I also know now how to do links, so I will try and link as much as possible as well. So these are all my badges. I had that from Angela at Yarn and Yarns, and Eva from Coco and Flora sent me that beautiful one for my birthday. I've got Craft House Magic's original badge and Owl About Yarns, and I've also bought those from Owl About Yarn and Pins and Needles when I went to their knitting retreat, the marketplace, when it was in Insole Court in Cardiff. These badges are just little badges for Velindre Hospital, which is a cancer hospital in Cardiff, and they often have badges at the bank and things like that, and you can pay £1 or £2 and it raises money for the charity. And this one was just one where we went, I think we went to West Midlands Safari Park, and you do a dinosaur walk and you get a badge for being brave, and it's Harry's, but this room is going to be Harry and Jack's as well when they stay, so I thought he might like to see his badge on my pennant. And I was going to hang it on a knitting needle like Davina from Little Room Crafts has done, because that looks very effective. But I did find a piece of doweling that Harry had found, and I have asked Martin to put some little polymer clay ends, like sort of round beads on the end, like he did when he made my crochet hook, which is delightful to work with. So I've given him that task, and hopefully then he will do that. And I've got an old beaded chain that you would hang your glasses from. Well, it's not old, Jodie bought it for me, but I tend to put my glasses up on the top of my head rather than hang them down here. So I thought that would look really nice on there. So when it's finished, hopefully it'll be finished by the time I edit this video, and I'll put a picture in. Otherwise, I'll put a picture up on Instagram, and then you can see the finished article. But it's pretty much nearly full, so I might have to make another one if I get any more badges. So there's that. And I have to make an apology to Arthur, my Luna Lapin. Last time I videoed, I forgot to mention that I had made him a pair of trousers. I have been wanting to make him a pair of trousers for ages, and I wanted some chambray cotton, lightweight sort of denim look fabric to make them from, and I couldn't, well, it's not that I couldn't find any, I didn't buy any online. I was hoping Martin might have an old shirt or something like that I could use, but nothing became available, so I cut up an old pillowcase and made these trousers, and they are such a fun thing to sew. The patterns, I thought it'd be quite fiddly because they're small, but the patterns in the Luna Lapin book are just amazing. I love this book, and the reason I bought the book and made Luna Lapin, Arthur, and my girl version Beatrice was because I wanted so desperately to make the armchair, because the armchair is the cutest thing in the world. There it is. I mean, how cute is that? Absolutely wonderful. And I haven't made that yet, but I'm hoping I will soon. And I am now going to make Arthur a shirt to go with his jeans. And we have chosen between us, Arthur and I, this fabric here. And I thought that was really pretty. And then hopefully I'll have enough left to make Beatrice her dress. And if I don't have enough of this, I've got other colourways, but in the same sort of design as this. So they will sort of be matching. They can have matching outfits. So that was one of my projects that I hadn't finished, was well, there's two projects. There's Arthur's shirt and Harry's proper joggers, because I have just done a toile. This is quite handy having this cabin bed, because now I'm putting everything back on there as I talk about them. And I finished my English pig piecing, my table runner. I'm really happy with that. It took me absolutely ages. I had to do the back. I think I showed you last time and I just had to finish that. But I think it looks just as nice on the back if you put something in the middle. But all the work is on the front. And I have it on my table in my dining room and a little candle on the top, and it is really sweet. And so far everyone has listened to me and no one has put a mug or a glass on top of it. So I'm hoping that will continue. Right, let's go on to cross stitch. Now, when we were first in lockdown, the first week or two, I think I was sort of in shock because it all just, well, it still seems surreal, but I just didn't seem to want to get on with anything. And all I could do was sit in the conservatory and stitch on my cross stitch. I don't know why I find that so soothing, because you do have to concentrate on the graph, but it was all I wanted to do. And I am making this cross stitch here, which is from Aldi's. It was a gift from my friend for my birthday, and it's called Peter's Hug. And I am doing quite well. And then after the first week or two, I went totally off the cross stitch and didn't want to do it at all. But I have been doing a little bit now, and I have finished Arthur, Peter's mum and Peter, and they're having their hug, and then I've just got to really do the circle around with the lovely little robin, and then obviously all the back stitching. That's when it really comes together, when you put the back stitching on. And I entered the giveaway by Julie from So Unique, which I mentioned to you, I think last time or the time before. So I encouraged you to enter, and I won the giveaway prize, which was a project bag with exactly the same pattern of Peter's Hug as my cross stitch. So I was so pleased to win that. I just thought it was meant to be. This project bag was meant to be mine, and it's absolutely lovely. It's got the So Unique tag there, and it's beautifully made, and it's all nice and white inside. It's nice to have it light inside so you can actually see what you've got in there. Now, I know it's meant to be for knitting, but I thought I would keep my cross stitch in there because, well, they just go together, don't they? It's so I'm going to put it all back in there and keep it all nice and safe. The only thing, the picture doesn't fit in there, and I do refer to the picture sometimes just to make sure I'm going in the right direction, but that's fine. I keep that in the little plastic cover that it came in, and I keep them together, so that's okay. Right, I told you I did a lot. Now let's move on to my crochet. Here's my lovely crochet hook that Martin covered in polymer clay. It is so nice to work with. I don't get cramp at all, and he has said that he will make me some more. He'll cover some more of my these sort of cheap crochet hooks with this if I want him to. The only thing is I'm going to have to either have them in different colours or think of a way that we can put the size on them, because I know this is a 3, but I won't know if I've got several the same. And it's not like knitting needles where you can put them through the knitting, those little gauges you get with the holes to know what size needles you've got. Can't do that with crochet, can you? Because you've got a hook. So I'll have to think of a way of marking them, or just taking a photo with them, or having them different colours so I know what size is which size is which. And I have done all the pieces for my Rhino, and I'll put a picture in because I can't really hold them all up to show you. There they are, and there's the little horn. I didn't quite do that right because I couldn't gather the stitches right at the end properly. It got too tight, so I'm hoping when it'll look like a proper horn. And I am making Austin the Rhino, except our Rhino is going to be called Johnny. Harry wanted to be called Johnny because he said he will be Johnny Jones. So he's on his way, and then Josh has asked me to make him the orangutan, I think it is, this one here. He wants that. Yes, 27 3/4, and he wants a stuffed toy. And for Jack, I thought I would make him the elephant. You can't really see it very well there. See if I can find it in the book, because he's got a couple of pictures in his room with elephants on, and Harry was all for giraffes when he was little, so I was surprised that he asked for a rhino. But there's children, they always surprise you. Oh, there's the orangutan that Josh wants. And whoops, let's see, where is the elephant? And there's the elephant that I thought I would make for Jack, but I'm going to do it in a different colour. I'm going to do a nice bright colour for him, because he's only one, and something that's nice and easy to put in the wash. Right, on to knitting. I have been off my knitting pretty much. I haven't really done a huge amount. I did show you a while ago that I had finished the one sock from the Vanilla Latte socks, and this is the Christmas colourway from West Yorkshire Spinners from a couple of years ago, and I am calling them my St David's Day socks because they are also the colours of the Welsh flag. And I did forget to say to you last time, spot the obvious mistake, because I decided to do them all in the same colour and not put different heels and toes in. There is a bit of a jog, you can see the cream there, but I mean, I don't mind. That's in the crease of your foot when you've got the socks on. And I've never done, I don't think I have, completely stripy socks without changing the heel, and obviously that's what happens if you do that. So that was the first one I have finished, and I am working my way through the second, so I'm not doing too badly now. I'm just on the home run really, because I'm doing the last bit. I'll take them out of the, that's what poppers are supposed to sound like. When I put them on, they don't do that. So I'm on the home run. I've just done that much, and this one also has the jog, and I have to say they are lined up pretty well, because the bat's in exactly the same place as that. Oh no, it's not. Oh, I take it back. Well, they look like they are. Maybe because this is stretched out. It's probably because this is stretched out on the sock. when it on the sock blocker, when it wasn't on the blocker, they did look as if they were the same. I'm curious now, I'm going to take it off to have a look. So put it on the sock blocker because it looks nicer for you. I do want them to be the same. Oh, that's not too bad. You see, they do kind of line up if I stretch them. So anyway, that should be finished in the next few days because it's the nice easy bit. Just it's only a 2-row pattern, so it's nice and easy to follow, and it just gives enough interest. I think with a self-striping yarn, I wouldn't want anything too patterned, but I think that just that little bit makes it look nice, and it's a lovely fit. So I'm looking forward to those, although I don't think I'll be able to wear them anytime soon because we are having lovely weather. Chuck them over there. Right, and a planned project for knitting, because I've made those 2 skirts, I haven't really got any tops to go with them, and this is the trouble I'm finding. I'm sewing things, one, because I choose silly childish fabrics usually that I like but feel a bit silly wearing, and then I haven't got anything to wear with them, or I haven't got the right shoes, so I'm trying to be a little bit more thoughtful when I'm trying to put something together. So I have got some shoes. I ordered shoes for those 2 skirts, but I also need some tops. Now, the very first pattern I bought on Ravelry was in 2013, and it's the Peacock Eyes cardigan, and I couldn't get on with it. I didn't know what I was doing. Basically, I had joined Ravelry for this pattern. I'd seen someone had made it, and it was obviously not in the round because it's a cardigan, but it was on a circular needle, and you so I think you do the front, back and the other front all on the same needle, and I'd never done that before. The English or British way is in pieces. You knit the back, you knit the 2 sides, you knit the sleeves, and you sew them all together. I do like this way with the circular needles better because it's nice not having to sew things up. And they also had short rows that I'd never heard of, because I never needed to do that when you work in the flat. You just decrease or increase. And on top of that, there was a chart for these eyes, these peacock eyes, and I just got in a terrible mess. And one of the ladies in work was very good at knitting, couldn't help me either, because obviously she hadn't done this kind of this sort of style of knitting herself either. So I've decided I'm going to have a go now, several years later. I think I can do this pattern. I'm going to put lots of stitch markers in to mark where the eyes are, and I'm going to take my time, and I'm going to make this cardigan to go with those skirts, but I'm not going to make it as long as that. I've looked on Ravelry at some of the people's projects, and I'm going to make it a bit shorter and have a bit more ribbing, so it's more of a cropped cardigan. I think that will go nice. That will look nicer with the style of skirts I've made. And I have bought 7 of these baby alpaca silk. There they are, all in there. This yarn, so it's drops baby alpaca silk, a wonderful mix of baby alpaca and mulberry silk. And it's just, I think, in the cream, or I can't remember what the colourway is because it just tells you a number on the back. But it's off-white cream, I don't know. It's lovely and soft. So I'm going to start work on that very soon. Put that in there to keep clean. So wish me luck with that one. Hopefully I shall be able to do it this time. And the very last thing I've been doing is, now some of you might remember these from the past, the jewellery boxes, the dark wood ones that look like a wardrobe. And I had this one for, well, many years ago, and it's been up in the attic, has been stored under my bed. I put it in my craft room hoping I would do something with it, and it's just gathered dust. And while I was off, I thought enough is enough. I gave it a clean with some sugar soap and I painted it up. So I've upcycled and here it is. And I think now it looks really cute. I didn't like it in the dark wood, but I love it in this green, and I painted the handles cream and it's lovely. And it is musical. Do you remember these? Musical. I think you have to open the drawer. Yes. Oh, when you shut the drawer it goes off. So I have done a few upcycling projects before, and I've always used chalk paint, and then you have to either varnish it or wax it afterwards, or if you leave it, which I have done sometimes, it sort of wears off and you can't really clean it. And instead someone recommended from Wilko's furniture and cupboard paint, and that's what I used. Now I think this can it's 750 mils, and I think it was £10, and I've used hardly any because obviously it's such a small project, but I thought I would give it a try before I do bigger projects. Like, as you know, I want to paint this. Now I want to paint that white because I want all the furniture in my craft room to be white, so although they're different styles they'll blend in, and then I'm going to paint the walls a light blue, and then I think that will look nicer than painting the furniture different colours. So I'm going to use this Wilko's furniture paint for that, although I tried to buy some of it online and they are out of stock of the white. So when that's back in, you will see that painted. And for the little handles, I'm going to take a drawer out to show you. I took these off and I was meant to spray them with this. This is Plasticoat Fast Dry Project Enamel, and I've bought 2 of these, and I did, it's over here, I'll reach up. This chair that I bought in a car boot sale, I sprayed that with over one of these and it doesn't cover very well. And then when I came to use this one, which was a new one, just to do those handles, I took all the handles off and laid them out and shook this up like it said, and the nozzle was broken off, so I couldn't use it. So then I tried to do it by holding the nozzle on, and the paint just went everywhere, so I was covered in paint, and this stuff is really hard to get off. So that wasn't any good. And then Martin suggested, well, why don't you just try and squirt it out of the can into the lid and then dip the little brass handles into the paint that way. So I got Josh to squirt it into the pot for me so I didn't get covered in paint. He did on the line. Oh, sorry, I thought it was running out then. I dipped them and hung them on the line on some threads to dry, and then when they dried I dipped them again, and they're not perfect and I was going to do them again, but now they're actually fitted onto the drawer. I think they look quite nice, so I'm very happy with that little upcycling project, and I can see many of those, more of those in my future. So that's it for now. That's everything I've been working on. I'm pretty much getting up to date with my all my whips. I've got a few knitting and crochet ones that I haven't started yet, but I'm sort of, like I say, off my knitting and more on sewing at the moment. So I do look hot. I do feel hot. I hope that man's finished jet washing. But it doesn't matter now because I've recorded. So we're going to go out and do a bit of gardening this afternoon. All take care, and I hope you're enjoying your projects. Thank you if you are a subscriber. Thank you for staying with me. If you stayed this long till the end, please leave a comment below if you want to. I always love to read them and do try and reply. And take care until I see you next time. Bye.